Upon my first glimpse of her abode, adorned with a charming white picket fence and a glistening backyard pool, it felt as though I had wandered into a whimsical dreamscape. Chris and I envisioned a home brimming with warmth, happiness, and the delightful essence of family togetherness. Yet visions, much like fleeting summer illusions, may dissipate. As I find myself by the pool, the water calm and quiet, mirroring my sense of isolation, I ponder the moments that led me here. Chris arrives home late, his gaze far away, and our exchanges feel superficial. The warmth we once shared now lingers like a fading echo, overshadowed by an unsettling void. This evening, I've chosen to face the quiet that lingers between us. Yet what I uncover will transform it all. Is there still a path for us, or have the threads of our connection unraveled beyond repair? Prepare to be amazed by the unfolding events. There's a vivid memory etched in my mind of the moment I laid eyes on our home. The charming one adorned with a white picket fence and a backyard pool that sparkled like a dream under the blazing summer sun. It represented everything I believed the American dream to be. Chris and I settled in with vision of creating a space brimming with joy, affection, and the delightful sounds of tiny footsteps, and for a time it was simply that. Each morning the aroma of freshly brewed coffee would greet me with Chris already seated at the kitchen table engrossed in the newspaper. His hair would be a wild mess, and his eyes would carry the weight of lingering dreams. Yet a smile was always waiting for me. In the stillness before dawn, we would find ourselves connected fingers brushing over the table, a wordless vow of eternity lingering in the air. Charlie, our golden retriever, was the soul of our household, weaving joy into every moment. His tail would rhythmically thump against the floor, marking the beat of our everyday existence. He trailed behind me, his gaze brimming with unwavering affection as I wandered from one room to another, tidying up the house. Our neighbors, Mrs. Jenkins and Mr. Thompson, seemed to step right out of a storybook from a different time. Mrs. Jenkins, with her perfectly set hair and her penchant for gossip, would often peer over the fence, her eyes sparkling with the latest tales from the neighborhood. Mr. Thompson, in contrast, was the reserved sort, often found immersed in his projects in the garage, his essence more sensed than observed. Life unfolded like a tapestry each day, weaving into the next, creating a comforting pattern of familiarity. Yet at some point in our journey, the vibrant hues of our existence started to lose their brilliance. It was the little details that caught my attention initially. As the days passed, Chris would return home later and mutter his explanations, becoming increasingly elusive. The light in his eyes flickered, giving way to a faraway gaze that left me pondering its origin. Our dialogues, which used to be rich with aspirations and narratives, have faded into simple exchanges of everyday essentials. During my solitary walks, I discovered a sense of peace and comfort. In the heart of the neighborhood, where the lawns were perfectly trimmed and laughter of children filled the air, I found my sanctuary. With every step I took, I distanced myself from the life I once knew, venturing into a realm where I could ponder the moments that were eluding my grasp. The pool, once a canvas of our collective happiness, now rested quietly, its surface mirroring my deepening isolation. As I settled beside it, I observed the leaves gliding over the water, each one quietly reflecting the journey of time and the changes in our bond. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, I felt an undeniable urge to confront the widening gap that had formed between Chris and me. I crafted a dinner, arranging the table thoughtfully, with the hope that the simple act of coming together over food could weave connections anew. Chris returned home his tie. Askew, his footsteps weighed down by the day's burdens. He took a seat, and for a brief instant, the essence of the man I once adored shone through. As we dined, an unmistakable hush enveloped us, interrupted solely by the soft clatter of utensils. "Chris," I started, my voice soft and hesitant. "Have you ever sensed that we're merely following a routine?" He glanced upward, his fork suspended in the air. In that stillness, I felt a flicker of hope, as if he might lean over the table, grasp my hand, and share the reassurance that everything would turn out fine. With a heavy sigh, he said, "Alice, I really don't know. Perhaps we are." As darkness enveloped the room, he drifted into dreams while I remained wide awake, gazing at the ceiling, the heaviness of his words lingering in the air around me. The house loomed large and silent, a reminder of my solitude that felt deeper than ever before. The following morning, I awoke with a sense of determination. I had to put an end to this chapter. I found myself at a crossroads seeking to uncover the reality of our connection. Were we still intertwined, or merely two souls coexisting in the same realm? As I strolled with Charlie, the morning light stretching out shadows, a choice began to form in my mind. I would engage in a deep conversation with Chris, delving into our experiences, reflecting on our past, and exploring the path that lay ahead of us. The journey home was transformed, every step laden with the gravity of my choice. This dialogue held the potential to transform everything. It was time to plunge into the depths, to discover if our affection could still navigate through the calm waters that had settled around us. As I neared our home, the white picket fence transformed from a symbol of perfection into a barrier hinting that one eye was on the verge of crossing into the unknown. As I strolled through the gate, the white paint of the fence appeared to glare at me, almost teasing the facade of perfection it once embodied. Charlie trotted beside me, his tail wagging in a way that brought warmth to my soul, a gentle reminder of joy amidst the chaos swirling within me. It was clear to me that a conversation with Chris was necessary, yet the words lodged in my throat felt heavy, like stones waiting to be released. Within the walls of the house, a profound stillness enveloped the space, a quiet that conveyed untold narratives. Chris stood in the living room, his back turned to me, gazing out the window as if lost in thought. As I inhaled deeply, the rich aroma of the jasmine plant on the windowsill enveloped me, a cherished reminder of our first anniversary. "Chris," I said, my voice unwavering even as turmoil raged within me. He turned a veil of mystery, cloaking his expression. "It's time for a conversation." He nodded, his gaze lingering on mine for a heartbeat before he motioned toward the couch. We sat, the distance between us echoing with unspoken tales. As I pondered, I began, my fingers anxiously following the design on the couch. "Let us share our journey and the path we are forging ahead. Is there still a path ahead for us?" With a deep sigh, Chris raked his fingers through his hair, lost in thought. "Alice, I'm not quite sure. I've been so immersed in my tasks, lost in my thoughts. I long for the moments we shared, yet I'm uncertain about the path to return to that place." His voice carried a raw truth that exploded with intensity, leaving a sharp sting in its wake. "I long for those moments as well," I confess, my voice trembling with emotion. "Yet we cannot continue this way, as if we are mere acquaintances, sharing the same space." He extended his hand, pausing for a moment before it met mine. "I wish to embark on this journey, Alice. I truly do. perhaps we could share more moments together, just the two of us. Focus entirely. The idea lingered a delicate glimmer of possibility. Could you clarify that for me? I inquired, my heart gently rising with hope. What if we spent the weekend at home creating our own little adventures? It's just us three, me, you, and Charlie. We could share our tales once more. How about we kick things off with a day by the pool? Just like in the good old days. The thought of journeying back to our cherished memories was a mix of fear and allure. All right, I conceded, the term resonating as a promise that extended beyond a mere weekend. Let's embark on this journey. The days leading up to our planned weekend were steeped in a palpable sense of excitement and suspense. As I strolled through the familiar paths, it became more than just a quest for peace. It transformed into a journey of reflection, a way to ready myself for the unfolding chapters ahead. Charlie, always my trusted companion, absorbed my words as I shared my anxieties, my dreams, and the enduring affection I held for Chris, which remained strong despite all that had transpired. As I strolled through our neighborhood, I began to observe the quiet transformations that unfolded around me. Mrs. Jenkins embarked on a new garden project, her spirit for life as vibrant as ever, untouched by the passage of time. Mr. Thompson had finally completed his latest creation, a solar-powered bird feeder which he eagerly displayed to anyone who happened to walk by. Their lives, appearing effortlessly straightforward, stirred a deep longing within me for the pure, uncomplicated happiness that Chris and I once experienced together. Upon returning home, the air was thick with anticipation. Chris was putting in the work, returning home sooner, and initiating light-hearted exchanges that seemed to reconnect us to the warmth of our past dialogues. Yet beneath the surface, there was a palpable tension, a quiet recognition that this weekend held deeper significance beyond mere escape from the everyday. As the sun rose on our much-anticipated pool day, the sky stretched out in a brilliant blue, hinting at the warmth that awaited us. From the kitchen window, I observed Chris preparing the pool. His actions, sometimes careful and almost ceremonial, as if he were weaving a tale with each step. Charlie leaped around him, his enthusiasm unmistakable, his joyful barks resonating in the stillness of the morning. As I joined them, the sun embraced my skin, and for a fleeting moment, everything seemed perfect. Chris beamed a heartfelt grin that lit up his eyes, and I sensed a spark of the familiar warmth of the old U.S. We splashed in the water, shared laughter, and for a moment, it felt like we had traveled back to the beginning of our romance. As the hours passed, the shadows stretched out, and the joy in the air felt strained. The pool, once a canvas for our collective aspirations, now mirrored our efforts to reclaim a sense of normalcy. Chris, I began as we lounged by the pool, the water softly caressing the tiles in a rhythmic dance. This goes beyond just a weekend, doesn't it? He fixed his eyes on me, a fiery intensity in his stare. Absolutely not. I've been pondering, Alice. Perhaps we require something beyond just a weekend. Perhaps it's time for us to embark on a journey of growth together. The revelation brought a sense of liberation, yet it also ushered in an unfamiliar apprehension. I nodded softly, my fingers intertwining with his. So where do we begin? He grasped my hand, his touch anchoring me in the moment, through honesty and embracing the difficult discussions, by recalling the moments that brought us together. The evening air turned crisp, prompting us to retreat indoors where the atmosphere shifted from somber to warm and inviting. We prepared dinner side by side, the process of cooking a rhythm we had lost touch with. As we dined, the dialogue unfolded effortlessly, weaving through the tales of aspirations put on hold, about the journey we had imagined. Yet as the night grew darker, the shadows of our unspoken troubles loomed larger. Chris's phone buzzed a gentle nudge from the universe beyond our cozy enclave. He cast a fleeting look at it, a shadow passing over his features. "I must take this," he declared, rising suddenly to his feet. The door to his study clicked shut, enveloping me in solitude, where my thoughts danced alongside the echoes of our shared meal. I lingered, the stillness heavy in the air. Upon his return, his demeanor was shrouded in mystery. He spoke of work, yet the term seemed more like a wall than a true understanding. That night, as I lay in bed, the space between us felt palpable, a realm filled with silent words and unvoiced inquiries. I glanced at Chris, his silhouette softly illuminated by the moonlight streaming through the curtains. "Chris," I murmured softly into the shadows, "will we find our way through this journey?" He pivoted to meet my gaze, his eyes probing into mine. "I long to Alice, I truly do." The words flowed, yet the passion was absent. As I shut my eyes, I felt the heavy burden of what lies ahead enveloping me. As sleep danced just out of reach, I came to understand that our weekend had merely skimmed the surface of what could be shared. The true journey, the profound and challenging exploration of our connection, was still ahead of us. As I slipped into a fitful slumber, a sense of anticipation washed over me. For the dawn would not merely herald a new day, but a fresh narrative, one in which we might either rediscover our connection or come to terms with the conclusion of our shared path. The following morning, the house was wrapped in an unsettling stillness, a silence that lingered like the aftermath of a tempest thick with unspoken emotions. Chris departed for work at dawn, penning a brief note that stated, "I'll be late tonight." The words landed like a chilling breeze, sharply opposing the warmth we had endeavored to revive just the day prior. The morning found me in a haze, as the happenings of the night before echoed in my thoughts like a relentless loop. The pool once filled with laughter, and memories now lay still and silent, reflecting the emptiness that had settled between us. Charlie picked up on my feelings, his typical energy dampened as he settled by my feet, his head gently resting on my lap. As the day unfolded, the weight of solitude grew heavier. As I set out with Charlie for a stroll, I felt the gentle breeze beckoning, promising to lift the fog from my mind. In the stillness of the neighborhood, an unusual silence enveloped the streets, where the laughter of children had faded away, leaving an air of anticipation, as if the universe itself was poised for a moment of revelation. As we strolled by Mrs. Jenkins's house, her garden bloomed with a vivid array of colors, yet she seemed to have vanished from sight. Behind the closed garage door of Mr. Thompson, a world of creativity and innovation lay concealed, waiting for the right moment to be unveiled. Their everyday existence felt like a taunt to the chaos swirling within me. As I stepped through the door, the silence of the house wrapped around me, like a heavy blanket reminding me of all the moments that once filled these walls. The allure of the pool beckoned me once more, its surface calm and welcoming. I perched on the edge, my feet suspended above the refreshing water, observing the gentle ripples radiate from my toes. Charlie, attuned to my desire for quiet, settled a bit away, his gaze filled with a profound comprehension that only a loyal companion can provide. As the sun dipped below the horizon, bathing the water in a warm golden light, my feelings surged to an all-time high. The stillness enveloped me, a heavy cloak of solitude, and the dread of losing Chris surged within a flood of emotions I could no longer hold back. In a moment of overwhelming loneliness, I turned to Charlie, seeking comfort in the only constant presence I had left. His quiet loyalty offered me solace when I needed it most. I broke down, resting my hand on his back, letting the warmth of his presence pull me out of my spiral. I knew then I had to face the truth about what I was truly missing: human connection. A chilling wave of understanding crashed over me, leaving me breathless in the wake of my choices. I stepped away, my breath hitching, my heart racing with a swirl of embarrassment and uncertainty. I found myself sitting there, gazing at my hands, which now felt foreign, as though they were the hands of another person. The water in the pool appeared to taunt me, its surface mirroring not only my loneliness, but also the shadows of my deepest struggles. The creak of the front door swinging open pulled me from my thoughts. Chris arrived home, surprising everyone with his early return. The sound of his footsteps drew near, and a wave of panic washed over me. I gathered my thoughts, brushing away the tears, attempting to conceal the traces of my emotional unraveling. "Alice." Chris's voice rang out, laced with worry, as he ventured into the backyard. He halted abruptly upon seeing me, his gaze sweeping over my features, deciphering the chaos within. "What seems to be the issue?" he inquired, his tone gentle as he drew nearer. Silence enveloped me, the unspoken truth lodged in my throat, the burden of my choices too great to articulate. Instead, I shook my head, and soon enough, tears started to spill over, no matter how hard I tried to keep them at bay. Chris settled next to me, his arm cautiously draping over my shoulders. "Alice, I would love to hear from you. Once upon a time, the dam gave way." Chris was on. I found myself in a situation that spiraled out of control. I struggled to speak, my voice barely rising above a whisper. His brow knitted together, a tapestry of confusion and concern woven across his features. "Could you clarify what you mean?" I inhaled deeply, the revelations striking me like a dagger to my very soul. In my vulnerability, I blurred the lines of emotional dependence. But I realized quickly what I needed wasn't comfort from silence, but the courage to speak honestly to Chris. The hush that enveloped the room was overwhelming. Chris's expression shifted from puzzlement to astonishment, then transformed into a blend of dread and incredulity. He drew back his gaze, probing into mine, seeking any hint that this might be a misinterpretation. "Alice, what tales are you weaving?" His voice trembled, the serenity he often exuded now fractured. "I truly apologize." "Chris." Something unexpected swept through me. In that moment, I felt utterly adrift, surrounded by a profound sense of isolation. I implored, my voice trembling. He rose suddenly, moving restlessly along the edge of the pool. This surpasses all that I could have envisioned." "What led you to make that choice, Alice?" To our beloved canine companion. The divide between us was unmistakable, a vast gulf that felt insurmountable. I observed him, my heart shattering, aware that I had ventured into a territory that could remain forever uncharted. "I need time," he said at last, his voice icy and remote. "I must take a moment to reflect." He turned and strolled away, leaving me by the poolside, the water now reflecting the fragments of my broken self. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a shroud of night around me, mirroring the shadows that lingered inside. As I sat there, the night growing colder, I understood that the peak of our tale had come not with a bang, but with a subtle, heartbreaking collapse. The future loomed ahead, shrouded in uncertainty. our bond precariously balanced, and all I could do was linger, hoping for Chris to choose whether there was any glimmer of hope to reclaim from the remnants of what we once shared. The days that came after were filled with a haze of suffering and uncertainty. Chris hardly uttered a word to me, his gaze slipping away whenever our paths intersected in the home we once shared. The stillness hung in the air, a thick shroud that extinguished any flicker of possibility for mending what was broken. The pain in his eyes was palpable, a silent testament to the betrayal that had woven itself into the very essence of our bond. I attempted to connect, to share the profound sorrow. I felt the isolation that had led me to such an unimaginable choice, yet each effort was greeted by an impenetrable barrier of quietude, or a gaze filled with such deep sorrow that it caused me to pull back. The home, once vibrant with joy and warmth, now resonated with the silence of our fractured connection. As the sun sank beneath the horizon, painting the living room in hues of twilight, Chris finally spoke up, shattering the stillness that had enveloped the room. "Alice," he started, his voice rough and raspy, "I've been reflecting. I'm unsure if I can navigate beyond this moment." His words struck with the force of a heavy impact. I settled into my seat, feeling a wave of weakness wash over my legs. "Chris, I understand that my actions were misguided, perhaps even beyond redemption." In that moment, I found myself adrift, yearning for a bond to anchor me during my vulnerability. He shook his head, his expression revealing a deep struggle within. "It's more than just your actions, Alice. It's a journey of faith, a narrative woven into the very fabric of our union. What will it take for me to believe in you once more? How can I gaze upon Charlie without that image coming to mind?" As I sat there, emotions overwhelmed me, not only mourning the end of our union, but also grieving for the purity of our cherished dog, who found itself entangled in the turmoil of our shortcomings. "I hear you, Chris. I've caused you pain in ways I never thought I could. Yet my affection for you runs deep, and I yearn to mend this if there's a path forward." He sighed, a sound heavy with the weight of countless shared moments now shadowed. "It seems to me that we could benefit from some distance. Moments of separation to explore if there's a flicker of hope to rekindle." The idea of parting struck me as the ultimate conclusion to our shared journey. "I'll move out," I declared, the choice lingering like a bitter memory on my tongue. "I'm bringing Charlie along for the journey. Perhaps as time passes, we can find our way to recovery together." Chris nodded, his gaze drifting away from mine. Perhaps. In the days that followed, the act of packing unfolded like a narrative waiting to be told. Every object I encountered seemed to carry whispers of our history fading into the distance. Charlie observed me, his tail lacking the usual exuberance it once had. He appeared to feel the shift, the melancholy that lingered in the atmosphere. As I departed, the house seemed transformed, devoid of the vibrant memories we had woven into its walls. As I lingered at the threshold, Charlie's leash dangled from one hand, while a suitcase rested in the other. Chris stood there, his face a canvas of mystery. With a trembling voice, I leaned in closer and shared my heart. "I'll always love you, Chris. In the future, I wish for your understanding and forgiveness." He remained silent, merely observing as I turned to leave the gate, shutting softly behind me with a gentle click that resonated like the conclusion of a chapter. I settled into a cozy little apartment, a world away from the home we once knew together. The walls stood empty, the rooms resonating with the sound of my loneliness. Charlie, steadfast and true, remained by my side, his companionship a gentle solace amidst the overwhelming void of my new existence. Therapy transformed into my sanctuary. I shared my feelings of guilt, the swirling confusion within me, and the deep yearning for connection that had guided me into such shadowy places. The therapist listened intently, her words weaving a delicate thread of hope, guiding me on a journey towards self-discovery and maybe someday the chance to find forgiveness. As the months rolled by, each session brought a little more relief, like a story unfolding with each turn of the page. I penned letters to Chris, not anticipating a reply, but feeling the need to share my regrets and the path I was taking towards recovery. They remained unsent, tucked away in a box beneath my bed, a silent witness to my remorse and my aspirations. One evening, as I sat by the window of my apartment, observing the city lights come alive, my phone buzzed. A message arrived from Chris. With a flutter of excitement, I carefully lifted the lid. Alice, I have gone through your letters. I'm not prepared to let go just yet, but I'm open to having a conversation. Shall we gather for a conversation? The message arrived like a beacon, offering a glimmer of hope to repair the fractures that had formed. I nodded, my fingers quivering as I crafted my response. We found ourselves at a familiar spot, a cozy cafe that held memories from our time together. Chris had transformed, bearing the marks of time, more prominently, the creases on his face, telling tales of experience. We gathered the atmosphere, heavy with memories waiting to be shared. He began, his voice barely above a whisper, reflecting deeply on our journey, on the events that unfolded. I'm uncertain if we can return to our former selves, but my desire to comprehend Alice remains strong. I seek to uncover the journey that led us to this moment. The exchange unfolded with heavy hearts laden with sorrow and regret. We shared tales of our aspirations, our setbacks, and the affection that had once burned so brightly. In the midst of uncertainty, there lingered a shared understanding of the intricate tapestry of feelings that bound us, a bond so profound that not even the sting of betrayal could fully unravel it. As we went our separate ways, there was no hug, no grand expressions of affection. Yet an unspoken acknowledgement lingered for the path we had traveled together. As I strolled back to my apartment with Charlie accompanying me, a blend of melancholy and an unusual tranquility enveloped me. Though the chapter of our marriage has concluded, the tale of our lives continues to unfold. I came to understand that life, much like the pool in our old backyard, can be calm and mirror-like, yet it also holds depths, filled with the ebb and flow of transformation and development just below the surface. As I gazed at Charlie, his eyes brimming with affection, I realized that while certain connections may shatter, others have the power to mend, and fresh ones can emerge. The path ahead was shrouded in mystery, yet it was mine to craft, filled with insights gained, and a spirit ready to embrace whatever adventures lay ahead. If you found the tale captivating, be sure to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. This will assist us in crafting more captivating narratives for you.